Another thing that I know can be difficult for people during the holidays is when people are experiencing infertility and just being around like other family members or people who have children. I know that can be difficult, or even if you're okay with that, just people asking a lot of questions, all in your business. I know that that can be difficult for people. I think also when I view my role in the home as a homemaker of a form of ministry, it also empowers me, I would say. Smells good. Hi, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Felicia, and on my channel, I document my journey through life as a Christian wife, homemaker, future mom, and seasoned entrepreneur. In today's video, I will be making a browned butter pumpkin loaf with a cream cheese frosting. I love a cream cheese frosting on anything. I've really been into watching all types of baking content on TikTok, Instagram, and so I'm constantly watching videos, constantly saving videos, but I never make them. So today I wanted to make a video from a content creator that I've been following called Mare's Good Eats on Instagram. And yeah, let's get into it. So this recipe is a 1 bowl other than the icing or the frosting recipe, which I always like. And of course, as always, I will be using the recipe and watching from my phone or reading from my phone. Okay, first I need to get my sugar and my flour. I'm so excited to, like I said, finally be making one of the many recipes that I look at and I save. I think it's easy to just get in the habit of saving recipes and then not doing anything after that. So I already browned my butter before starting, just so that I got that out of the way. To brown the butter, you just cook it on the stove until little brown particles kind of start to form right before they burn. And then you just take it off, but it gives it like a nutty kind of aroma, but I can definitely tell the difference when I use brown butter versus when I just use regular. Okay, so first we're going to add our browned butter to our bowl. And then we'll do 1/2 cup of white sugar. And then after this, we'll do 1/2 cup of brown sugar. Oh, and I forgot to announce, I meant to post on the community tab that we reached our goal of 200 subscribers. I was so happy about that. YouTube is just a completely different animal when it comes to content, like Instagram, TikTok. Although I'm not really consistent on those right now, I'm focusing on YouTube. I have an understanding of what it takes to grow on there, and when I have tried to be intentional about it, then I usually do see the growth. Whereas with YouTube, it definitely just takes time. It takes a lot of patience. And so I was so excited when I hit 200. I think now we're at 205. And I don't know if you've checked out the description, but I always like to put in the description the number of subscribers that I'm at so that I can always go back and just kind of see my journey, document where I was at that point in time. Okay, so 1/2 cup of brown sugar and 1/2 cup of white, and then we mix it up. hopefully it came out, it's okay, since I made the brown butter ahead of time and it kind of started to solidify a little bit. But we will see. Two. Teaspoon of vanilla extract. Let's try to eyeball it. And this is my absolute favorite vanilla bean paste, the Nielsen Massey Madagascar Bourbon Pure Vanilla Bean Paste. It just makes everything taste so much better. And I can taste the difference too. Like when I make ice cream, I usually use that one. And the last time I made it, I just used regular vanilla extract and it was okay, but it wasn't the same. So I made sure to order some more. And moving forward, I will only be using that vanilla bean paste. I'm a pretty big fan of pumpkin desserts, but I only like them in the fall around like the holiday season. It's not really something that I crave or that I want to eat any other time of the year, but the fall and the holidays is my favorite time of year. Although it does kind of feel like as an adult and as you get older and I don't know, just I guess as you get older and all of the different changes and seasons of life, sometimes the holidays can be kind of difficult. I know I struggled for a while when I lost my grandma and my uncle one day apart, and it was not that long before, I think it was like October before the holidays. And so for a while, just kind of struggled with that of you get so used to following certain traditions, you know, all the way from when you're a child and then even, I don't know, even like through college, like I've had my grandparents and my uncle, my dad's family, and we would just do, you know, the same or similar traditions. But then once they're not here anymore, things kind of change. And sometimes that can be kind of difficult to adjust to. Even after that, then once I got married, and we usually all celebrate together with my husband's family and with mine. But I want to say like during COVID, then that was just another season that looked a lot different. And I want to say there were some holidays where my family wasn't able to come, just like due to COVID and things like that. And that was difficult for me of having to then adjust to things looking different. But now I've just kind of accepted that that's just kind of life and there's different seasons and not every holiday is going to look the same or birthday is going to look the same. But I just try to still be appreciative and thankful to God for the family that I do have and just that I was able to be here to spend another holiday as well. So kind of have changed my perspective around the holidays. And so they're still my favorite time of year, but I'll be right back. Let me go get the Greek yogurt. So 1/3 of a cup of this. Another thing that I know can be difficult for people during the holidays is when people are experiencing infertility and just being around like other family members or people who have children. I know that can be difficult, or even if you're okay with that, just people asking a lot of questions, all in your business. I know that that can be difficult for people as well. I think for me, it's not really that. Luckily, all of our family members, I guess whether they know or not, like it's not really something that comes up or people don't really like ask about it. So that part is easy, but I did struggle for a while too of just myself knowing and just feeling like, okay, great. Like another Christmas that, you know, I don't have my child or my children here. And that was really tough. And I want to say up until maybe last Christmas, that used to really get me pretty down on the holidays. But again, I just kind of tried to change my mindset. And not that I don't still have those feelings or like briefly experience feeling like that, but I don't try to hold on to it. And I, again, just try to keep my trust in God and to just continue to have faith that my time will come where I will have children running around on the holidays, and to just be grateful for the family that I do have. So I definitely understand if that is something that you struggle with and that is difficult for you during the holidays as well. Okay, so we have all of our wet ingredients, and then for our dry ingredients, we have 1.5 cups of flour. Ooh. So 1. And 1/2 baking soda, baking powder, which I already pre-mixed. Baking soda, baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, so 1/2 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. It smells so good. Just smells like the holidays. A little bit more, but won't hurt. And 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And give that a good mix. Third of a cup of milk. And like I always give the disclaimer, I like to use cream top milk. So if you see chunks, it's not expired. If anything, I feel like this milk lasts longer. I don't know if it's the glass. I think it's probably the cream on top, but it's my favorite. So we give that a mix, and so let's clean this up, and then we will just put this into our lined baking dish, put it in the oven, make our icing, and then we're done. I hate when there's like these little clumps of brown sugar. My goal is to always try to make sure that I cook without getting, or film without getting something on my clothes. But of course I did, so it's all right. A little mess never hurt anyone. But this is one of my favorite sweaters. My husband had got it for me for Christmas. I had told him that I wanted to do like some cool merch. So he had got me this Homemaker crew neck and like some sweats to match. Super comfortable too. All right. So we're going to put this in the oven for an hour at 350, of course. And then we wait. Mm. So now that our pumpkin loaf is in the oven, while we wait for that for about the next hour or so, we're going to head to the backyard to sit down, just to chat, connect, have a little heart-to-heart moment. And then after that, I will come back in and finish up. So I will see you guys in the backyard. So can homemaking be a form of ministry? I follow a woman named Kyrie on YouTube. Her channel is called the Transform Homemaker Society. And I'm also a part of her email list. So not too long ago, she sent an email and the title was The Ministry of Home or something like that. And it was just really interesting. I'm going to pull it up because I don't want to leave anything out. Yeah, so it's titled Your Ministry of Home. And in the email, she talked about how homemaking is a form of ministry, and she referenced the Proverbs 31 woman. And she talked about basically how the Proverbs 31 woman, how her role within the home was a form of ministry. And so she talked about how she was an excellent wife whose husband could trust her. She talked about how she was someone who works diligently and willingly and does the work of provisioning for her home, how she wakes up early, feeds her family. She's generous to the needy, keeps good watch over her home, and is prepared for the future. How she sells and she sells the things that she makes. How she's wise and kind and not lazy, and then how she fears the Lord. Usually when you think of ministry, you think of something that is associated with church, or like you're knocking on doors and you're spreading the gospel to people, but it's kind of hard to understand, I guess, how that looks at home. And I think I'm still learning, I'm still figuring that out, but I guess also just how in the Bible, like with the Proverbs 31 example, how it talks about her being a good steward over her home and how her children and her husband call her blessed. And so I guess I could see how me just leaning more into taking care of my home and of being a good helpmeet to my husband, which is another thing that the Bible calls us to do and talks about. I guess I could also see how that could be a form of ministry. And then also, like, once you have children and then discipling them at home, of just making sure that you're training them up in the way that they should go and training them up in the way that Christ calls us to do. I definitely, like, I think that stood out the most to me. Of I see how motherhood for sure could be a form of ministry. And I guess marriage, I would assume maybe it could just be, again, you showing up the way that God calls us to do in the Bible, of helping our partner, supporting our partner, and showing them the love that Christ shows us. I guess maybe that's what it would look like, as far as just between a husband and a wife, of homemaking being a form of ministry, of you exhibiting Christ-like, attitude and behaviors towards your spouse. So, like I said, I'm still, I guess, trying to understand exactly what that looks like. And I think that that's also just part of my journey. And that's why I love consuming content like Kyrie's channel. There's a few other channels that I like to watch that I'll link down below as well, that have helped me in my homemaking journey. And they're also Christian homemakers as well. And that's definitely something that I want to just explore more on my channel, while I journey, while I'm on this homemaking journey. Another thing that she has said that really stuck out to me in her email was how one of her mentors, so Kyrie had got the opportunity to serve in her church, and she was really excited about it, but she had spoke to one of her mentors about it, and her mentor was basically like, okay, that's great, and I'm excited for you too, but your first ministry is your ministry of your home, and if your home isn't in order, then maybe it's not the best idea for you to now accept this new responsibility in ministry outside of the home. And that really stuck with me as well too, because I do find myself wanting to lean more into helping out at church, or how I mentioned in a previous video, how I was leading the children's ministry. And that's something that right now it's on pause, but it really did get me thinking too of, well, before I do try to lean in even more outside of the home in ministry, I need to make sure that my home is in order first. And there's so many things that I'm still trying to work on myself. Of course, it will never be perfect, but even just doing better with meal prepping and being able to make sure that we have healthy meals on the table, if not every night, at least most nights. You know, it's okay to order out sometimes, but for me personally, that's something that I want to prioritize. I want to make sure that I plan ahead, even like the Proverbs 31 woman, how it talks about her basically being prepared for like the winter, making sure that I believe it said like that her children, that they have like warm clothes, or that they're prepared. And I don't quite feel like I'm there yet of being prepared. But I do want to lean even more into the ministry of my home and having things a little bit more in order before I focus on what's outside. I think also when I view my role in the home as a homemaker of a form of ministry, it also empowers me, I would say, even more. Again, usually when it comes to being more involved in church or being a Christian, you're thinking of outside of the home, but it is also empowering to know that even just me being at home, even me just showing up even better at home with a positive attitude and fostering a positive atmosphere and being intentional about the atmosphere of my home is also me being of service. So that feels really good too. And again, I just look forward to learning more. I love reading books. Right now, I'm reading books that are more focused on like raising Christian children. But again, I think that that ties into the ministry of the home and being able to disciple my children. And although I don't have children yet, I think that it is still important to spend the time being intentional of just preparing myself in this waiting season. But yeah, those are pretty much my thoughts. Again, I look forward to just exploring this topic more. Especially on my channel, I never want to paint myself as an expert. I'm just a student of life, constantly learning new things. Like I said, I enjoy learning, kind of doing a deep dive on things. And so as I learn, I would love to just share what I learned, but then also if there are things that you're a little bit more versed in, or if there are any books that you recommend, I would love for you to share that with me as well, or share it in the comments for all of us. But I am going to head back into the kitchen and finish up the pumpkin loaf. So I will see you inside. All right, she is out of the oven. So then we will leave it on the rack to cool. I'm hoping it didn't overbake. I know sometimes everyone's oven is different and the temperatures vary a little bit. So ideally it's kind of best to watch it and make sure, but I just left it in for the full 60 minutes. So we will see. And now we're going to make the cream cheese frosting, ice it, and we're done. And I also forgot to point out, this is my absolute favorite loaf pan. I don't really use it often, but I plan to use it a little bit more. But I got this from Williams-Sonoma. The brand is Emile Henry, and it is French. I think most of it is ceramic cookware, but I just love like the design of it, like the ruffles, and it just feels cute, and it makes me want to actually cook and use it. So now we are moving on to the cream cheese frosting. I have finally decided on a new mixer. This is my old faithful. As you can tell, it's just like gross and dingy, but I really wanted the Smeg mixer, but the reviews were just kind of mixed, and some things I'll just buy it anyway, but a lot of people were saying that although it costs a little bit more and it looks like it's good quality, that sometimes like the beaters would break off, or the motor would die really quickly. And so I didn't want to make that investment, knowing that maybe the quality didn't quite match the price. So I was on the hunt for a new one, and I think I have found one. So you might see hopefully a new mixer in the next video, but we will see. So for the cream cheese icing, we are using 1 stick or half a cup of softened butter. And all right, so we have our semi-cooled pumpkin bread. It's still a little warm, but I just am ready to eat it. So it's all right if it melts a little bit. So we are going to put our frosting on. Every time I watch the videos, they'll scoop it on with like the cookie scoop. So not needed, but I feel like it looks cool and it makes it look really good. So I'm just gonna try it. All right, now, I don't really like the ends, but I don't wanna waste it. Let's try this piece. All right, now for the best part. Smells good. It tastes like, kind of tastes like the Starbucks pumpkin cream cheese muffin, which is always one of my favorites. I'm not a big Starbucks person, but I actually used to work there, fun fact. But that was always one of my favorite things. Pastries was the pumpkin cream cheese muffin. But it's nice and moist. And I kind of like that it's warm too. Usually I don't like to heat up like my desserts, but this is really good. But I have to run. It was fun. And thank you guys so much again for just taking the time with me just to hang out in my kitchen and to chat. But I will see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.